Welcome, girls. As the agreement that we'll be discussing the last topics to avoid confusion as we go back term 2. If we start the topics which we're going to discuss in term 2, we might be confused somehow in the sense that if some have already learned the lessons while others are not, it might bring some confusion. That's why we agreed last time when we were going that those who will be learning online, we're going to start discussing on the last topics in book 3, agriculture. So here we are. We're going to start discussing the last broad topic, or what we call core element, which is animal production. Animal production. So in Form 3, under animal production as a broad topic, there are two topics. There are two minor topics. That's livestock feeds and feeding, as well as sheep and goat production. So we have two topics: livestock feeds and feeding, and sheep and goat production. So without wasting time, we're going to start with livestock feeds and feeding. Once we are done, we'll be discussing on sheep and goat production. Let us start with our first topic, which is livestock feeds and feeding. You remember in Form 1 as well as in Form 2, we mentioned that there are three livestock management activities. Four. There are four livestock management activities which are very, very essential in livestock production. We mentioned of breeding, we mentioned of housing, we mentioned of feeding, as well as controlling of parasites and diseases. If we can manage the four, we are assured that we may have maximum livestock production. So that is why one of the topics we should be discussing from 3 is all about feeding as one of the livestock management activity. So the topic is livestock feeds and feeding. So on this topic, of course, we're going to discuss a number of things. First, we're going to identify the two main classes of livestock feeds. The two main classes of livestock feeds. After identifying the two main classes of livestock feeds, we're going to now describe them and also distinguish the classes of livestock feeds. After that, we're going to list nutrients which are found in the livestock feeds. We're going to list the nutrients which are found in livestock feeds. And apart from that, we're also going to explain the function of each and every nutrient which can be found in livestock feeds. The functions. Apart from that, we're also going to identify the sources of these nutrients which are found in the foods and livestock feeds. And we're also going to explain the importance of feeding livestock. Why is livestock feeding the livestock very important? And lastly, we're going to explain on the factors to consider when feeding livestock. Factors to consider when feeding livestock. But on today's lesson, on today's lesson. This lesson we're going to discuss it we're going to divide it into two. So we'll have two lessons on livestock feeds and feeding. So for today, we're just going to identify the two main classes of livestock feeds. Then we're going to distinguish the two classes of livestock feeds. Then after that, we're going to list all the nutrients which are found in livestock feeds, then explaining their functions, the functions of those nutrients, then lastly, identifying the sources of those nutrients mentioned. So stay with me as we enjoy the topic. Now, let us look on the classes of livestock. We have two main classes of livestock, that's roughages and concentrates. Roughages and concentrates. These are the two main classes of livestock feeds. Let us start with roughages as one of the main class of the livestock feed. Roughages, these are feedstuff which have high crude fiber content but low in protein content. They are high in fiber content but they are low in protein content. There are mainly two types of roughages, what we call circulate roughages and dry roughages. There are two types of roughages, circulate roughages and dry roughages. For circulate roughages, these have high moisture content with low dry matter. They have high moisture content with low dry matter. For example, we have fresh young grass, legume pasture. We also have vegetables as well as sweet potatoes. These examples of feeds, they are under circulate roughages. Why? They have high moisture content. So we also have another type of roughages which we call dry roughages. Dry roughages, they contain very little moisture. Therefore, they are high in crude fiber content. They are low in moisture content but high in crude fiber content. For example, we have hay, we have shells, we have straws, groundnut worms. They are all good examples of dry roughages. Another main class of feeds for livestock is what we call concentrates. Concentrates are feedstuff that are high in protein and carbohydrates. They are low, of course, in energy. They are low in fiber content. They are low in fiber content. I was saying that these are feedstuff that are high in protein and carbohydrates, but they are low in fiber content as well as moisture content is also low. Moisture content is also low, but they are high in protein and carbohydrates. And these can also be further classified into two, what we call energy concentrates and protein concentrates, or carbohydrates concentrates and protein concentrates. For carbohydrate concentrates, these are concentrates rich in energy. They are much more rich in energy. we have good examples of cereals and their byproducts. For example, milled maize or wheat meal, the byproducts of cereals. They are under concentrates. They are rich in energy. We also have protein concentrates. Protein concentrates. On protein concentrates, these are concentrates which are high in protein content. They are much more high in protein content. For example, we have green legumes, meat, bone meal, fish meal, cotton seed, we have groundnut seeds, soya bean, sunflower seeds. They are all under protein concentrates. So these are good examples of protein concentrates. Now, from the classes of livestock which we have learned, we may have several nutrients in those livestock feeds or the classes of livestock feeds which we have mentioned. We may have different examples or types of nutrients being found in those feeds. For example, we may have water, we may have carbohydrates, we may have fats and oil, we may have proteins, we may have vitamins, as well as minerals. So these are some of the nutrients which can be found in livestock feeds. Water, carbohydrates, carbohydrates, and also fats and oil, proteins, vitamins, as well as minerals. So let us look on the food nutrients, functions, and their sources. Of course, that's where we're going to stop. Once we are done with the discussing on the functions of these food nutrients we have mentioned and the way animals can get them, then we are done for today. Here we are. We have the table showing this column is showing nutrients. It's showing nutrients. This column, while this column is showing the functions, and lastly this column is showing where those nutrients can be from, the source. One of the most important nutrients found in livestock feeds is what we call carbohydrate. Carbohydrates are these ones, they provide energy for daily requirements. We know that those animals, they'll need energy for their daily requirements. So it's carbohydrates which will provide energy for their daily requirements. Apart from that, excess carbohydrates can be stored in form of fats. If those animals they consume the feed stuff which are rich in carbohydrates, if they are in excess, they can be stored in form of fats. What can be the sources of these? The nutrients, the nutrient carbohydrate. We have cereals, we have root tubers, have grass, potatoes, vines, etc. These are some of the sources of carbohydrate nutrient. The animals will also need fats and oils as one of the required nutrient. These are essential constituents of body cells, and they serve as condensed energy reserves, and they provide much more energy, twice as carbohydrates energy can provide. It means more energy can be gain from fats and oil was saying twice as carbohydrate energy. The source of, apart from that, they will also provide heat to the livestock. We know that for us human beings, once we are feeling cold, we just put on clothes or we put on warm clothes so that we should be feeling warm. But for livestock, they do not put on clothes. So the source of heat or the warmth they'll get is from fats and oil anyway. So we're saying that the nutrient fats and oil will provide heat to livestock. What can be the sources of fats and oil? We have oil seeds, for example, from groundnuts, soya beans, cotton seed. They are all rich in oil. Apart from that, the fats they can get it from milk, more especially for young ones. Apart from that, from eggs, from liver, from fish meal. Some of the animals they consume the fish meal, so it's where they can get fats and oil. Let us proceed with the table. We're still discussing on the same nutrients. The table is the same. We can just go to the next slide. Let us proceed with the proteins now. Proteins are very, very important in the body of the animal just because they are essential for body building. They are essential for body building. In order for the parts of the body to grow, they need these proteins. They need these proteins, and also they will repair worn out body tissues. If the body tissues, some of the body tissues are damaged, they can be repaired if protein is present in the body of that animal. And also, if these proteins are in excess, they can be metabolized into energy. And the proteins are also component of enzymes, hormones, and antibodies. And now, where can these animals get these proteins? Number one, from grain legumes. Good examples of grain legumes can be beans, soya beans, as well as groundnuts. But also, they can also get proteins from meat, liver, milk, bones, and fish meal. We have some of the animals which will consume this type of feed. Another nutrient which is also essential in animals is water. Water is very, very essential in transport of food nutrients. Some of the food nutrients, in order for them to be distributed well in the parts of the body, they need water so that that water can transport those food nutrients to the all parts of the animal body. And also water will act as the lubricant in the body joints, and also it is essential just because it will help in digestion. The feed they will consume, they will be digested at high speed if there is presence of water. And also it also help in blood circulation. It will help in blood circulation. And lastly, water will also help to regulate body temperature. Where can these animals find this nutrient so-called water? Number one, from drinking water. Apart from that, from succulent feeds. Those feeds which are in succulent form, they can also get water. And more especially from those young animals, they can get water from milk as well. Let us now look on minerals. as another another nutrient which is essential in animal body. So there are different types of minerals which are very important in the body of the animal. So there are so many, and their functions might also differ. So we'll be discussing one by one of the mineral, uh, more especially on how they're important and where the animals they can get those minerals from which feedstuff. Let us start with calcium and phosphorus. Calcium and phosphorus are also good examples of minerals which are important in animal bodies. Why? They are essential in bone formation. Also, they're essential for milk production. They are essential for milk production. Some of the animals we raise them so that they should be giving us milk. So if they will be getting the feedstuff which are rich in calcium and phosphorus, at least milk production will be boosted. And more especially calcium is very important for eggshell formation. Where can those animals get calcium and phosphorus? From milk, from meat, from bone milk, groundnut limestone, ground limestone, oyster shells are source of calcium and phosphorus. Apart from that, we have magnesium. Magnesium is also one of example of the minerals which are important in the body of the animal. Why? They are there to develop healthy bones and teeth. They are also there to metabolize carbohydrate. In order for carbohydrate to function well in the body, there is need of magnesium. Where can the animals get magnesium? From milk, from cereal grains. Another mineral which is also essential, equally important, is iron. Iron is important in the body of the animal just because it's part of hemoglobin. And also, if the animals have enough iron in their body, they'll prevent the disease which we call anemia. Most of the times, iron is found in the egg yolk. Iodine is also another example of mineral which is essential for the growth of thyroid gland. We all know the importance of thyroid gland. Each and every animal will need the gland. Even human beings don't need the gland. So iodine is very essential for the growth of the thyroid gland. Therefore, iodine will also prevent goiter. And in terms of the source of iodine is the iodized salt. Then we have copper and sulfur. Copper and cobalt, they form part of hemoglobin and enzymes, and therefore they also prevent anemia. They help to prevent anemia if they are present in the body. In terms of the source, the animals can get copper and cobalt from salts containing copper and cobalt. But we're meaning with something here that copper and cobalt as well maintain blood pressure. They're also essential for bile formation. Bile should be one of the part of the animal body, internal parts. Sodium is also another example of the mineral which is important just because it will also maintain blood pressure. It is also essential for bile formation. The source is also common salt and rock salt. Let's go to manganese as another example of the mineral. Manganese is essential just because it helps in bone formation and enzymatic reactions. Apart from that, it is essential for metabolism of protein and carbohydrates. And most of the feeds they are rich in manganese. Then we have chlorine. Chlorine is also it is essential in the animal body just because it's part of gastric juice. This gastric juice is very important in animal body just because it will help in digestion. So we're saying that chlorine is part of gastric juice. This can also be found in common salt. Another mineral which is also important in animal body is potassium. The reason is that it will help in functioning of the muscles, and it will also activate the enzymes. In order for the enzymes to be active in the animal bodies, they will need potassium. So where can those animals get potassium? From grass as well as the potassium chloride. And lastly, it's zinc, another good example of the mineral. Zinc is essential in the animal body just because it will help in enzymatic reactions, and most of the feeds they are rich in zinc. Upon looking on the minerals as one of the important nutrient in animals, let us now look in vitamin. Vitamins are also important nutrients of which they will help a lot in the animal body. So we have different examples or types of vitamins of which they will have different functions in the animal body. Let us start with vitamin A. Vitamin A is needed for good sight of the animal. And vitamin A can be found in milk, eggs, fish, cod liver, as well as oil. Then we have vitamin D. Vitamin D is essential for bone formation, and this one can be found from sunlight, fish, liver oil, as well as green vegetables. We also have vitamin E. This one is essential for the proper functioning of the reproductive system. Therefore, vitamin E will prevent the animals from being sterile. And vitamin E is found most in grains, green vegetables, soybean oil, as well as grass. Then we have vitamin K. This one is essential for blood clotting, and it helps in transporting nutrients to the parts of the body of the animal. Vitamin K is also found in most of the feeds, more especially in leafy vegetables. Then we have vitamin B. Vitamin B is also important in animals just because it helps in metabolism of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. In order for these three nutrients, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, to function well, they need the presence of vitamin B. Where can the animals get vitamin B? From green vegetables, groundnuts, groundnut meal, as well as any cereals. Vitamin C is also important It is important just because it will help the animal to be resistant from most of the diseases. It will make sure that the animals will achieve resistance to diseases. They will not be easily be attacked by the diseases. Vitamin C is commonly found in most of the green leafy vegetables. Yeah, so for the meantime, let us do this exercise. There are only two questions anyway. Number one, from what we have learned, highlight the two main differences between refugees and corsets. Highlight two main uh, uh, main differences between refugees and corsets, and also given two examples of each livestock class as current refugees, dry refugees, carbohydrate corsets, and lastly protein corsets. So once you are done your reading, you have to copy the exercise and write the answers on your piece of paper. If you have a camera, then you take a shot of the exercise and send to my inbox. Uh, but if you can manage to type even the answers, you can just type and also send to the email, not at the group. If there'll be some points worth sharing, we'll be sharing on the group. But for the exercise, you're supposed to submit the exercise to my inbox, not on the group which you have formed. Yeah, so we're going to stop here. Next time, which is our next lesson on the same livestock feeds and feeding, we'll be proceeding and look on the other part of livestock feeds and feeding. feeding. Thank you for the meantime. You should have a blessed day and you should have a fruitful day while you are attending to the lessons, and don't forget to copy the short notes for referral purposes in the near future. For the meantime, I should say bye.